Imagine sitting across from me in a cozy coffee shop, the steam from our mugs rising between us. I want to tell you a story about an idea, a quiet revolution that started not with a bang, but with a line of mathematical code. It's the story of a man named David Chaum and his vision for digital cash. Now you might be thinking, what does digital money have to do with me? Well, it has everything to do with a feeling I know you've had. That stubborn, deep-down feeling of being right about something only to later realize the world is far more complicated than you first thought. You probably recognize that stubborn feeling. It's that instant certainty when you get into a debate, your position just feels so obviously correct. Many of us cling to familiar ideas because they are comfortable, like a well-worn path in our minds. We trust the systems we know, the big banks, the popular apps, the way things have always been done. It feels secure. But remember when you were a kid and you realized a childhood belief, something you held as absolute truth, wasn't quite true anymore. That moment of shift, that slight dizzy feeling as your understanding of the world rearranged itself. That's the space where David Chaum's story begins. David looked at the digital world barreling toward us decades ago and saw a problem everyone else was overlooking in their excitement. He saw that if our money and our identities became just more data flowing through corporate networks, we would hand over an incredible amount of power. Every purchase, every transaction, every movement could be watched, recorded, and controlled by whoever owned the pipes. His core idea is beautifully simple. What if you could pay for something online with digital money that was just like physical cash? Not a credit card slip that tells a bank who you are and what you bought, but a pure, untraceable transfer of value from your hand to another, except in the digital realm. It's the difference between whispering a secret to a friend in a crowded, eavesdropping room and being able to pass them a sealed note that only they can open. The note holds the value, not a record of who passed it. He proposed a system where privacy wasn't an optional feature you begged a company for, but a mathematical guarantee built directly into the money itself. This wasn't about hiding for shady reasons. It was about freedom. The freedom to buy a book without an algorithm, then deciding what else you should read, or to support a cause without fear of later scrutiny. As Chaum himself put it, the ability to do things without identifying yourself and to have strong, credible guarantees that your identity is not being leaked in the process is really the key. He was talking about giving us back a fundamental choice we didn't even realize we were losing. And this is where we bump into ourselves. Our instinct is to trust the big, shiny corporation telling us they'll keep our data safe. It's a familiar idea. It's easier to accept that than to wrestle with the complex, invisible world of cryptography. We fool ourselves into believing that convenience is the same thing as security, that a personalized ad is a fair trade for a detailed map of our private lives. We tell ourselves it's fine because everyone else is doing it. But on a deeper level, that awareness nags at us. That feeling in your gut when you get an ad for something you only talked about near your phone, that's the deeper awareness knocking. It's the childhood belief that our conversations are our own, slowly cracking. Chaum's principles show us how this self-deception works. We are fooled by the surface. We see a convenient app, and we don't see the intricate data harvesting machinery behind it. His digital cash was the opposite. Complex cryptography on the inside to create breathtakingly simple privacy on the outside. It reveals that we often accept the version of reality presented to us because it's easy, not because it's true. We've been taught to trade our privacy for convenience, and we've convinced ourselves it's a good deal, all while a part of us knows something is off. This isn't about blame. It's about a pattern we all fall into. We cling to the first answer that feels right. We trust the familiar brand. Chaum's work challenges that entire instinct. It asks us to look deeper, to value what's hidden but essential: our autonomy. His revolution suggests that real power doesn't come from trusting a corporation to be benevolent, but from building systems where that trust isn't even necessary, where the math itself protects you, not a privacy policy that can change next week. This cracks open a whole new way of seeing the world, not as it is presented to us, but as it could be. We start at the very beginning, in a place that feels familiar and safe. We see things simply. Money is what's in our bank account, a number on a screen. Privacy is a setting we toggle on an app, a fleeting hope that our data isn't being sold. We trust the big names, the familiar logos of the corporations that manage our digital lives, because they provide convenience and a sense of order. It's a comfortable, if somewhat passive, existence. We don't question the underlying machinery because it seems too complex, too distant from our daily reality of sending a text or buying groceries online. The system just works, and that feels like enough. But then comes the confusing middle, the phase where the simple story begins to fray at the edges. This is the moment when we start to feel a nagging unease, a sense that the convenience might come with a hidden and steep price tag. You might be someone who resists change at first, dismissing these rumblings as conspiracy or paranoia. Most of us feel uneasy during transitions, and this is the mother of all transitions. This is where David Chaum's view of the challenges becomes so critical. He saw that the central challenge isn't just technical, it's deeply human and about power. The systems we use are designed to be opaque, to collect and hoard our information in centralized silos. We start noticing small things. An ad that follows you around the internet for a product you only mentioned in a private conversation. The feeling that your loyalty card knows more about your diet than your family does. The slow, dawning realization that you are not the customer, you are the product being sold. This middle phase is tough because it's defined by confusion and a sense of powerlessness. The old simple story is broken, but a new one hasn't yet taken its place. We're stuck in the in-between. Knee-jerk reactions flourish here. One is to retreat, to want to smash the entire digital world and go back to a mythical, simpler time, an impossible and isolating choice. The other knee-jerk reaction is to surrender, to shrug and accept the loss of privacy as the inevitable cost of modern life, to say, I have nothing to hide, and hope for the best. David Chaum's main contrast is between these fearful reactions and a thoughtful, empowered response. The thoughtful response isn't about destroying technology or blindly accepting it. It's about rebuilding it with a new set of principles from the ground up, principles of privacy, individual sovereignty, and verifiable trust built into the code itself. You may catch yourself pausing before reacting lately, before blindly clicking agree on another terms of service. That pause is the beginning of the new clarity. This final phase isn't about having all the answers, but about understanding the fundamental shift. The clarity comes from realizing that cryptography isn't just a tool for secrecy, it's a tool for freedom. It's the mathematical guarantee that you can prove something is true without having to reveal all the personal details behind it. Imagine proving you're old enough to buy a drink without handing over your driver's license with your name and address. Imagine a digital cash transaction that is as private and final as handing over a physical coin, leaving no data trail for a corporation to analyze and monetize. This is the revolution Chaum envisioned. It's not anarchy, it's a more sophisticated form of order, one where power is redistributed from centralized corporations back to individuals. We start to see that we can have both incredible digital convenience and genuine privacy. They are not opposites, and we should never have been forced to choose between them. The new clarity is understanding that the future doesn't happen to us, it is built by us, and for the first time, we have the tools to build one that truly serves humanity. Through this discomfort, we begin to see the faint outline of a different path. One that isn't about gritting our teeth and pushing through, but about pausing and asking a simple yet profound question. Why does this feel so wrong? That feeling, that internal friction, is not a sign of failure. It's data. It's the most honest feedback we will ever get, pointing directly at a misalignment between the life we are actually living and the person we truly are or wish to become. This isn't about a major life crisis. It's about the small daily paper cuts of existence, the Sunday night dread, the sigh before a meeting, the slight deflation when we look at our to-do list. These are the clues. We start to realize that a lot of the pressure we feel isn't even ours to begin with. It's inherited. It's the ghost of a parent's expectation, the echo of a teacher's comment, the invisible script of our culture that tells us what success should look like. We've been following a map drawn by someone else for a journey they imagined, not the one we are actually on. And the discomfort is simply our internal compass, our true north, recalibrating, trying to get a signal through all that static. It's the part of us that knows deep down that this version of reality is a costume that doesn't fit. So we begin the quiet, patient work of untangling. We start to question the automatic thoughts, the shoulds, and the have-tos. Why do I feel I have to answer that email immediately? Why should I say yes to that invitation when every fiber of my being wants a quiet night in? We notice the stories we tell ourselves, the narratives of not being enough, of being behind, of needing to prove something. And in this noticing, a small but crucial space opens up. In that space, we find a sliver of choice. We can choose a different thought. We can choose a different action. It feels small, almost insignificant, but it's the first brick in a new foundation. This is where something subtle but powerful begins to shift. You'll likely find daily decisions coming easier. It's not that the decisions themselves become less complex, but the noise around them quietens. The fear of judgment, the weight of external opinion, starts to lose its grip. Choosing becomes less about what looks good and more about what feels right. It's the difference between ordering the salad because it's what you're supposed to do and ordering the hearty soup because it's a cold day and that's what your body is genuinely asking for. It's a reclamation of your own authority, one small choice at a time. As we practice this, we start to see the Barnum effect for what it is, a clever mirror. Those horoscopes and personality tests work because they offer a vague, generalized sense of identity that we eagerly cling to, especially when we feel untethered. But now, armed with a growing sense of our own specific, nuanced self, we can appreciate the trick without falling for it. We see that the desire to be defined, to be put in a box with a clear label, is a desire to escape the sometimes scary freedom of defining ourselves. We realize we don't need a horoscope to tell us we're resilient. We can point to the specific times we got back up. We don't need a quiz to tell us we're creative. We can create something, however small, and feel the truth of it. This process of shedding the generic and embracing the specific is incredibly liberating. Many notice old frustrations don't bother them as much. The traffic jam that used to ruin your morning becomes just a traffic jam, an inconvenience, not a personal affront to your entire day. The critical comment from a colleague can be evaluated for its merit without it unraveling your entire sense of self-worth. It's not that we become numb or passive. Rather, we stop adding layers of unnecessary suffering on top of the inevitable challenges of life. We stop pouring gasoline on every small spark. This newfound internal stability creates a ripple effect. our relationships begin to change. Because we are no longer looking to others to validate our existence or fill our emptiness, we can show up more authentically. We can listen better because we're not just waiting for our turn to talk to prove our point. We can offer love and support that isn't conditional on what we get back, because our own well isn't running dry. We attract different people too. Those who are comfortable with authenticity and are on their own similar journeys. The connections become richer, more substantive, less performative. We also begin to make peace with our past. We understand that the person we were 5 or 10 years ago was doing the best they could with the tools and awareness they had at the time. We can look back at our cringe-worthy moments, our mistakes, our heartbreaks, not with shame, but with a gentle compassion. That person was learning. That person was trying to navigate their own discomfort with an outdated map. We can thank them for getting us here and gently let those old stories go. This isn't about erasing the past, but about integrating it, learning its lessons, and freeing ourselves from its chains. All of this inner work, the questioning, the choosing, the releasing, culminates in a profound sense of coming home to ourselves. It's the feeling of finally inhabiting our own skin without apology. The external world hasn't necessarily changed, but our entire experience of it has. The filter through which we see everything has been cleaned. Life feels less like a battle to be fought and more like a landscape to be explored. There's a lightness, a curiosity, a willingness to engage with the world from a place of wholeness rather than lack. This journey inward, this reclamation of self, is perhaps the most fundamental form of freedom we can ever know. It's the prerequisite for any other kind of freedom. The visionary cryptographer David Chaum, a pioneer in developing tools for privacy and digital freedom, understood this deeply. He saw that true freedom isn't just about the ability to act without external restraint. It's about the ability to think and be without external imposition. It's about having the sovereign space to become who you are. His key insight was that securing this personal sovereignty, both online and off, is the essential first step. He famously compared achieving this state to finally taking off a pair of shoes that never quite fit. That constant background annoyance you'd almost learn to live with vanishes, and you experience the liberating relief of walking on your own terms, in your own skin, for the very first time. Together we discover that this isn't a destination, but a manner of traveling. It's a continuous practice of returning to ourselves, of listening to that inner compass, and of having the courage to follow its direction, even when the old map is yelling at us to turn back. It's about building a life that fits from the inside out. And in doing so, we don't just change our own lives. We send a quiet ripple of authenticity out into the world, giving others the permission, perhaps even the courage, to try on their own pair of well-fitting shoes and take that first, free, wonderfully human step forward.